It's time to eat.
What are you hungry for?
Sit down and get ready to consume an abundance of fantasy football knowledge from Ross Tucker and Joe Dolan.
Feed me now. I'm starving.
On the Fantasy Feast Eatin' Podcast.
Yeah, let's eat, baby. It is the Fantasy Feast Eatin' Podcast presented by DraftKings, and we are diving in today to the Rookie of the Year bets, which we don't do a lot of betting talk here on the Fantasy Feast podcast. We a lot of times save more of that for the Even Money podcast, but it's really interrelated when you're talking about some of these rookie prop bets. When you're talking about Rookie of the Year, obviously the people we like for Rookie of the Year, that means we'd like them to have good fantasy seasons. I'm Ross Tucker at Ross Tucker NFL on any social media platform. You can listen anywhere. You can watch youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. The star of this show is Joe Dolan at FG_Dolan, the fantasy points superstar. If you go to fantasypoints.com, which you should, use the code 21FEAST. That is absolutely the key. We love fantasypoints.com, and we love Joe, Pennsylvania, and we love Tom Brolley, who is one of your colleagues at fantasypoints.com. Look, Tom's even wearing the Penn State hat. So legit, Tom. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I got the whole wall represented. I got Iron City beer on the wall. I got all my Penguins and Steelers and Pirate stuff. So I represent Pennsylvania well here in State College.
Tom. Hold on a second. You live in central Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
Are you from central Pennsylvania?
I'm from like the Altoona, Johnstown area.
Okay.
I'm like right in that middle area. I lived up in Wilkes-Barre for a stretch of time, down in Philadelphia. I was actually in Reading for the one summer at the Reading Eagles. So I'm Mr. Pennsylvania. I am well-traveled all across this state.
But the point is you grew up in Altoona, Johnstown, which is 100% Pittsburgh fans. 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I thought maybe you were from like living in like the Harrisburg or from like the Harrisburg Hershey area. I was going to say, really? Pittsburgh across the board.
It's all Pittsburgh. Penguins, Pirates, Steelers. We're 90 minutes down, east on 22 there from Pittsburgh. So it's all Pittsburgh all the time in Altoona, Johnstown area.
Got it. Okay. So let's talk about Rookie of the Year stuff. Tom, well, first of all, why don't you just dive into the stuff you do for fantasypoints.com? Everybody's obviously familiar with Joe. You can follow Tom on Twitter at Tom Brolley, but you do more of the betting stuff, right?
Yeah, I do that mostly during the season. I look at lines and totals and spreads and props, and even before the season, I'll dive into the season win totals, all the player totals going into the year. Draft time, I'm doing draft props, and that's my main focus. But my background is also in fantasy sports, so I'm helping Joe out with our the stock watch, do the waiver wire every week. So I'm well versed, but I'm probably like 75% on the betting side and 25% on the fantasy and season long stuff.
Got it. But really, Joe, as I said, like if we dive into some of these Rookie of the Year odds, they're also on some level, just the fact that the sportsbook puts these odds out, they're on some level giving you some indication of the type of season these skill guys are going to have and should be factored in some way, shape, or form to how we're ranking these guys, where we're taking them in season-long, best ball, and dynasty.
Well, I actually think, and I think this might be more of a rookie season props kind of discussion when you bring that up, because these sports books weren't built on the books losing money. So they are pretty damn good at setting these lines. Now you have to keep in mind when you use last year's and the year before and all, dating back maybe 10 years when the NFL offenses really started to get into the modern production level, you have to keep in mind there's an extra game this year. So the books are flying blind too as to how that's going to affect things, but they're not dumb. So you look at a lot of these lines here and these props, and while we do find angles, and Tom's certainly going to bring some of those up where he looked at some of these numbers and was like, man, that number's way too high or that number's way too low. I think you can draw a picture indeed of where you should be drafting and ranking these guys because, look, they do not set stupid lines. And if they do set stupid lines, that stupid line gets pounded right away and it eventually changes. So there's a very narrow window, even if a book sets a dumb line, to hit the dumb line. And that's what Tom's doing. Tom's trying to find the dumb lines while they exist and trying to get us to profit. But the rookie of the year props and the rookie of the year futures rather, and the rookie props, those are really interesting. It's all intertwined. It's a really interesting discussion from both a betting and a fantasy standpoint.
But Tom, isn't it hard to know if a line is wrong or not because we're talking about rookies?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, but we're studying these situations, where guys are going, playing opportunities right away. That's the whole scouting process as well. Checking out what these guys are doing in college and how their skills, are going to adapt to the NFL game here. So it's all about, piecing those the jigsaw puzzle together, and that sometimes, that drafting rookies for fantasy, there's an advantage there. I know Joe, we both of us have been high on Najee Harris. He's just now starting to get drafted where he should have been drafted right after the draft. He was going in the third round still, even after the Steelers took him, even though, he's going to be playing right away. He's going to be getting, exclusive snaps in that backfield. He has the skill set, as we saw at Alabama to, finish at the goal line. He's a good receiver. And now, his offensive rookie of the year odds and, just in best ball drafts, it's just finally starting to catch up here. So, that's how you find where people are inaccurate right off the bat. And now it's all starting to, the market has started to catch up here.
So I wonder why. I mean, as soon as the Steelers drafted him, I thought he's got a decent chance at offensive rookie of the year and that he would go. I mean, Joe, you said a couple weeks ago here on Facebook, you had him almost like a top 12 pick, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Tom, I think this line has changed, and maybe you can give us some insight, but you bet him for rookie of the year because, look, we can talk all day long about drafting running backs in the first round. You were of the mind that the Steelers should have taken the lineman and then maybe take Trey Sermon in the second round, which would have been a prudent approach as well. But running backs who are drafted in the first round can win the rookie of the year. It doesn't matter if analytics think they don't matter. That Saquon Barkley was rookie of the year a couple of years ago. So you hit him to be rookie of the year. And also the line you hit for him, his rushing yards was 915.5. Where is that number now? Because if he plays anywhere close to 17 games, that's like 55 yards a game. I cannot imagine Najee Harris would not hit that number.
Yeah, I don't know where that number is at now. That was at other sports books. But I thought that was other sports books. That I thought that was extremely low. I that has to be up over 1,000 yards, I would think, by the time opening week comes around. But you're right. These first round running backs, Saquon Barkley in 2018 won the award. Todd Gurley was picked 10th overall in 2015 and won the award. And even there's some guys down the board. Alvin Kamara was a third round pick who won the award in 2017, and Eddie Lacy way back in 2013. It was a late second round pick when he won the award. So these rookie running backs, they're sneaky. You think of quarterbacks for all these big time awards. Of course, we had Justin Herbert last year. Nobody really saw that one coming. Took a doctor's needle to puncture Tyrod Taylor's lung there to get him on the field. But, this is one award where running backs are very much in the mix with the quarterbacks.
I'm still seeing some value on that, Tom. I'm seeing a 949.5 out there for Najee Harris. Now, I mean, let's just even say he plays 15 games. That's 63 yards a game. He's getting the ball 20 times a game.
Yeah, the big question with the Steelers is, they kind of haven't addressed the offensive line. Maybe their internal scouting, maybe they think more highly of, some of the guys that they have coming back. Zach Banner, was a guy they were pretty high on, and he, tore his ACL in the first game of the season. They've drafted some guys in the 3rd and 4th round here that they're hoping they can plug and play. So at the end of the day, as long as Harris stays healthy, I think that's a very attainable number. But it's going to come down to probably offensive line play. But from all indications, the Steelers, they told us what they want to do in the draft. They draft a running back. They draft a Penn State guy, Pat Freiermuth, in the 2nd round. They want to get back to running the ball. It was kind of embarrassing by the end of last season the way that they were running the ball.
Excuse me, Tom. According to Franco Harris, it's Freiermuth.
Freiermuth.
You might not be aware, but it's
Franco
Harris evidently goes to every Penn State home game too. Like, that is unbelievable. Speaking of unbelievable, did you guys know that LinkedIn's network has 740 million professionals? That's like more than twice as how many people there are in the United States. So what that means is, if you need someone for your job, and I know a lot of people that do right now, it is hard to get quality employees. It is hard to hire right now. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. LinkedIn Jobs will help you hire the right person for your role. Your first job post is free. So why not try it? Your first one's free. Literally anybody knows is on LinkedIn. So why not go there? Just visit linkedin.com/feast. Again, that's linkedin.com/feast to post your first job for free. Terms and conditions apply. That is an absolute no-brainer. I'm sure Fantasy Points does it because they've got like 50 guys on staff, so they got to find them somewhere. LinkedIn.com/feast. All right, Tom, what about Travis Etienne? What did you find on his projections? Obviously, you like the overs for Najee Harris in terms of his prop bets. What about Etienne?
Yeah, the number is a lot lower. It's 600.5, depending where you look around. I'm a little more hesitant on this number. Just there's a lot of smoke that they're going to kind of use James Robinson a lot. They went out and signed Carlos Hyde to a 2-year deal when nobody out, 31 other teams in the league weren't going to give Carlos Hyde a 2-year deal. So, Urban Meyer talked about how, they were looking at Kadarius Toney as a draft pick before the Giants took him, at 20th overall before their 25th overall pick. So it sounds like Etienne isn't necessarily locked into like, a 15 carry per game kind of role. James Robinson's still around in the mix here. So I'm a little more hesitant on this one. Maybe this is one I'll re-examine closer to the season once we get maybe a little bit more of a idea how they're going to rotate these backs in August and in the preseason. But this number, it's not daunting. It's 600 yards. It's 35 rushing yards per game. But it's something I'm probably going to stay away from because of everything that's coming out of Jacksonville's camp right now.
What about? Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Tom, I wanted to ask you, maybe Ross has more on running backs, but when you were looking at the props and the rookie of the year odds, what did that tell you about these first round wide receivers? Because as Ross knows, a couple of weeks ago, we discussed, my best ball rankings and maybe our season long rankings of these first round wide receivers. And when I look at it, there's really only 2 guys who have a pretty great path to instantaneous production, and that's Chase and DeVonta Smith. What do the betting markets say about that as well?
Yeah, I mean, Chase is kind of like the 6th or 7th favorite. Kyle Pitts has kind of moved ahead of him here recently with all the Julio talk. But his number, his receiving yards total is, pretty. The books are pretty excited about him. It's right around 1,050 yards. So, I don't know about you, Joe, but I've noticed in best ball drafts, I was routinely getting him in the middle of the 6th round, late 6th round. Now, if I start looking for him in the 6th round, he's already been taken, 5 or 6 picks before that. He's become, a middle of the 5th round.
He and Smith are just going to move up throughout the summer, and I think they'll reach a peak. Tom, I wouldn't be shocked if Chase is a 4th round pick at some point. And Smith, I could see him sneaking into that 6th round range.
Yeah, Smith, the buzz is a little bit slower on him, I've noticed. I'm still routinely getting him, 8th, 9th round. Every once in a while he'll sneak past 100 picks in some of the best ball drafts that I'm doing. But I could see the buzz building for him as well, especially with the Zach Ertz. That's going to start probably heating up here once August comes back around. If they don't get a deal done here, the June 1st date has come and gone. So, guys can, he's back on the market here. So he has a path to being the number 1 receiver in Philadelphia. So, I wouldn't be surprised if his number starts to crawl up here. He starts becoming like a 7th round pick or so. But, but it's tough for the rookie of the year stuff. These receivers, it's just Odell Beckham in the last 10 years that's won that
Justin
award.
Jefferson didn't win it last year.
Exactly. Yeah. Jefferson, he sets the rookie record with 1,400 receiving yards. He didn't even really sniff the award. It was Justin Herbert putting up, rookie records as well at the quarterback position. Those guys always take, they're the trendsetters. Unfortunately for Jefferson, he puts up 1,400 yards and can't win the award. So it takes a really special season for rookie wide receivers to win the award. So that's really not a position I'm looking to bet with these rookie of the year awards.
I'm kind of surprised. Forget the rookie of the year for a second, Tom. I'm kind of surprised Jaylen Waddle's receiving yards number is higher than DeVonta Smith. It just feels to me like Waddle's they've got some other receivers there, Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, whereas it feels like DeVonta Smith will be the guy in Philly. Just looking at it, Tom, tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I would go over on DeVonta Smith's prop and under on Jaylen Waddle.
I'm right there with you. I love DeVonta Smith's number. It was right at 725, 730. I think, anything up to like 800 is a pretty decent number for DeVonta Smith. Waddle, yeah, I'm with you. I'm a little more skeptical there. They bring in Will Fuller this offseason. They're not replicas of each other, but they do a lot of the same things very well. They can get downfield. They can create after the catch. So there's a little bit of overlap there. Mike Gesicki's another guy that can get pretty vertical out of the slot there for them in this offense. And you still have Devontae Parker. So, I see DeVonta Smith with a chance to get to like a 20% target share, really kind of own, be the number 1 receiver in Philadelphia. But Waddle's path is a lot murkier here. Even like a 16 or a 17% target share in Miami would probably be, you would take that if you're drafting Waddle at this point in the summer. So, and then, there's both questions at quarterback. Jalen Hurts, performed well in some spurts at the end of last season. Tua was, it was up and down as we know. So there are question marks at quarterback for both these guys, but I just love DeVonta Smith's, path to being the number 1 receiver in his offense a lot more.
By the way, did you guys see that quote from Tua about he didn't know the offense as well as he should have last week? I was like, not good. Let me ask you about this one. Yeah, first of all, to not know the offense as well as you should, I don't really understand. But then to admit you didn't know it, maybe I'm just a bad person because I would not admit that.
I wonder if
he's not honest enough.
I wonder if it just didn't come out the way he wanted it to when he said that. Believe me, as somebody who does all these podcasts, Ross, I've said some things on here where I was like, oh, that sounded awful. Like when I was thinking of it. But yeah, it was just like, it's kind of like smoky with Tua when you're like, all right, he comes out and he says he didn't know the offense all that well. They benched him twice in game last year. Yeah, I think it's fair to still be a little skeptical there.
All right, so here's my question, Tom. How high are the projections for Kyle Pitts, the Falcons tight end, and do you think he goes over or under? It's got to be the highest projections for any rookie tight end ever, right?
It absolutely is. Yeah, you throw in the extra 17, the 17th game there. It's 875 yards from what I was looking at. Believe me, I'm high on him. I'm going to be drafting him a lot in the 6th, 7th round range, just in case he is kind of that next Darren Waller, Travis Kelce type of tight end here. But this is a extremely high number. I started digging through the numbers. Jeremy Shockey was the only rookie tight end who's ever gone over 800 receiving yards in a season in the last 33 years. You look at the tight ends last year who cleared 800 yards. It was Travis Kelce and Darren Waller, literally 2 guys. The rest of the league was below 725 receiving yards at the position. Obviously, there were some guys that were hurt or banged up. George Kittle probably would have easily cruised past that, but
still, it was 2 guys.
Yeah, it was 2 guys, and this is believe me, I have very high expectations for Kyle Pitts. He's been kind of a unicorn throughout the whole process. He's the highest tight end to ever be drafted, with the 4th overall pick. He looks like a big receiver. He moves like a big receiver. So he is unique, but this is a tough number for me. I had to look under here. I'll gladly be wrong if he comes out and quickly puts himself with the Kelce's and with the Wallers and with the Kittles. But, I got to see him going up against the elite level of competition first before I believe that he can go up over this number.
And
Tom,
go ahead,
Ross.
Go ahead, Joe.
Tom, who are some of the guys as we wrap up here that you've bet on to win Rookie of the Year? And keep in mind, like you're not guaranteeing that these guys are going to win the Rookie of the Year. You just see some value here.
Yeah, I touched on Najee Harris at the top there. I got a plus 1,500 number there. That number is not around very much anymore. I haven't looked around, but I know like DraftKings, the number's down to plus 800 at this point. Basically the value's been cut in half. So, the number, the reasons, that he's going to dominate the backfield here. They want to kind of change the offense a little bit here. And it's been all positive coming out of Pittsburgh. And the other one was Trey Lance at plus 900. His number has, dipped a bit as well. It's, I look around, I see it plus 600 and plus 700 now. The reasoning there is, he's the guy that Kyle Shanahan traded up to get. He shipped a lot away to get that number 3 overall pick. not a prick, but
I didn't know you knew him personally, Tom.
Yeah, the number 3 overall prick. Yeah, but yeah, Lance. He has all the gifts there. Everything is setting up great for this 49ers offense. You're getting all the weapons back with George Kittle. Deebo Samuel had it was just an injury-riddled year for him last year. Brandon Ayuk, he was a special receiver in his first year. The schedule it's the best schedule in the league. The 49ers, by far, it's you go look through all the measurements, the win totals, whatever you want to look at, and the 49ers have the easiest schedule in the league. So, the big question is, how long do they stick with Jimmy Garoppolo? We'll see. A team moves up to number 3 to draft a guy. I think he's going to get on the field relatively early. We'll see how it plays out in the preseason and training camp, but I think Lance gets on the field by October. And with these type of awards, it's really how you finish. With these Rookie of the Year, what's the last thing? Because these are awards that are voted on by media members, and it's the last thing that you remember. And if the 49ers are 12-5 and win the NFC West, and he's the quarterback of the team, it's going to be tough to pick somebody over Trey Lance.
I'm curious, Tom. Last question. We talked about Trey Lance there for Rookie of the Year. We got into the running backs, Kyle Pitts, and some of the receivers. Was there any rookie quarterback prop bet that you felt really strongly about, whether it's Lawrence or Wilson or any of these guys?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of numbers out there just yet. There's just pretty much Lawrence and Wilson. Wilson's number was, around 3,850 yards, depending on where you look at. I thought that number was, a little bit low. He's a guy that's going to start right away. Has the potential to play 17 games. It's not a terribly difficult number. It's 226 yards per game if he plays all 17. The Jets have done some really nice things at receiver. They don't necessarily have that A-lister guy. They have, a lot of nice pieces with Corey Davis and drafting Elijah Moore. Denzel Mims is a guy that a lot of people are high on here going into his second season. Jamison Crowder is still on the roster. They go out and sign Keelan Cole. So there's definitely a lot of weapons there. And the Jets defense could stink this year. So there's a chance for some pretty pass-heavy scripts as well, playing in that AFC East. You're going up against the Dolphins. You're going up against the Bills. You're going to get up against the Patriots. They could be trailing in a lot of games. So I actually like Wilson's passing over his number a little bit more. Lawrence's number is, up at that 4,100 to 4,200 range. And there's just a little bit too much uncertainty. I'm not completely sure what Urban Meyer's offense is going to look like. I think it might be leaning a little bit more run-centric, with those three backs and with Laviska Shenault. So, I like the Wilson over his number a little bit more than Trevor Lawrence's number.
Well, plus with Urban Meyer, they're going to have so many of those handoffs to Tebow, then he throws it. So you don't know. Hey, check out Tom on Twitter, @Tom Brolley. You can hear he's a stud. Really, all the fantasypoints.com guys are amazing. Use the code 21FEAST when you go over there. It's BROLLEY for Brolley. Joe is the fantasy gangster @FG_Dolan. I'm @Ross Tucker NFL. We are @Ross Tucker Pod, which is where you can always see the highlight clips of all of the shows, or you can just watch the whole show if you want any of them. YouTube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Other than that, I am stuffed. We're done.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Feast podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Even Money, Business of Sports, and the College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.
A lot of times on the show, I mentioned DraftKings. Here's what you need to know. You got to be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. By the way, if what I was talking about included a deposit bonus, doesn't always, sometimes it does. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough, and deposit bonuses are paid out in site credit.